Hey everybody, Zach Nordike with you. Just so thrilled to be back with another episode of Zero to a Million. Today's episode is going to focus on unifying values and why that's so important to a business that is focused on taking revenue from anywhere from literally nothing all the way up to $1 million. This is a really crucial topic. Again, my passion is for business owners, business operators, entrepreneurs, to kind of be able to see from my experience. I've had the good fortune of being able to take a business from kind of a startup level all the way to the $1 million+ mark. And this is a super unique part of the business journey. There's so many things that you don't have any basis for, right? They're all new events. So when you're going 0 to 1 million, there's just some learnings that unless you've been there and been there recently, it's maybe hard to get guidance on. So unifying values is today's focus. Here's a tip for unifying values. You got to think both inside and outside. What is inside? Inside are the team members that are part of our day-to-day operation. Do they know your mission and values? Okay, here's another tip. If you don't have a mission, and if you don't have a written down mission, and if you don't have written down values, definitely consider doing that as soon as possible. And then once your internal team members are aware of your mission and are up to speed on your values, make sure you have the outside groups. Who are the outside groups? Vendors, right? Vendors, suppliers, your customers. Make sure that they are all aligned, and also your outside service providers. All these folks that are inside your business, you got to get your house in order first, and then make sure that your vendors, suppliers, your outside service providers, and customers are then also aligned. Okay? How do you know if your values are aligned? Well, first, it's about awareness, right? If you are working with your internal team, it's so critical that you're the consummate preacher of the values, that you have some type of what I'll call operating handbook, employee handbook, contractor handbook, whatever it is, that you share. And hopefully you're preaching from during meetings, during everything that you do as an organization, that you're going back to this constant messaging about what you're trying to accomplish as an organization and the values that the organization holds. And you have to have this same type of preaching or espousing mentality when it comes to folks, that was the inside, from the folks that are outside of the organization. So the only way you know your values are aligned is if people know your values to begin with. I think the first step is if you ask people, hey, what's our mission and what are our values? They can at least echo back, our mission is this, and if they're not spot on, at least hopefully in the ballpark, they know how many values you have, they know what the values are, and ideally, they can even give you an example of the lived values. Hey, we value collaboration. Collaboration looks like when a team member needs support, and it's a critical project, we drop everything and we make sure that they get what they need, whatever it is. It's just making something up there. The echo back is probably the first step, and being able to cite small examples is probably the second step. But, we got to measure. If you can really judge somebody's performance off their KPIs in terms of what they're bringing to the table, like their production, right? We like production. We like to measure how much somebody's selling, how many leads are being generated, how quickly our books are being closed each month, how much revenue we've generated, so on and so forth. Like all these things are great. How soon a project will be brought to completion and rolled out to market. Those are terrific markers of production success and operational output and all the things that make the business go. But sustainability, I think, is built on production plus mission and values alignment. So how in the heck do we measure mission and values alignment besides people echoing back? Yeah, our mission's to, make the world a better place, and these are the 4 things that we value that we think will get us there. Terrific. But the measurement really, and again, there might be 100 different ways of doing this, but this is one that I think is pretty straightforward. 0 to 5, okay? Sorry if you were expecting something that was a true revolution, but 0 to 5, is this person really aligned with our mission? 0 to 5, how do they rank on this value in terms of their day-to-day existence with our company? And taking that same 0 to a 5 approach with vendors, outside service providers, suppliers, and customers. And again, maybe you can't fire your customers, depending on what type of business you have, but you definitely need to be very critical of those that are working both inside and outside of the organization and measure a 0 to 5, a 0 to 10, who knows? 0 not aligned, 5 fully aligned, 0 not aligned, 10 super fully aligned, and crying emoji face bad, super smiley face emoji good. However you want to rank it, rank somehow, some way, how aligned the people inside your organization are to your mission and values, and how the outside alignment is looking with the outside service providers and customers that you've got. How aligned are they? 0 through 5, 0 through 10, however you want to measure it. Conversations and cuts. This is reacting now. Obviously, measurement's great, but if you're going to take no action on those measures, what good is it, right? So once we've measured, once we've determined alignment or not alignment, there needs to be conversation. Maybe after doing your measurement, you find out the alignment's very low with an internal person. I'm going to just share from experience that if you go to a person and you say, hey, our mission's this, our values are this, you're not living up to it, I'm really struggling to see how you're a good fit, that is maybe being presumptuous. And here's why. Sometimes people know that they're not aligned. Sometimes people think that they just need a little more education on it. Sometimes people are thinking they're aligned and they're not. That's probably a fairly challenging conversation to have. But my suggestion from lived experience is, when you notice somebody is not aligned, ask them, hey, are you really familiar with our mission? Are you really familiar with our values? Give them a chance to respond. Okay, then share the mission. It's great. I'm glad you're familiar. Let's say they thought they were familiar. Great. I'm glad you're familiar with our mission. If you had to rank yourself, 0, not on board with our mission, 5, totally on board, ready to do anything that needs to be done for this mission, where do you rank yourself? Let them share. Depending on their response, then dive into where you're seeing discrepancies or how things could be done better, et cetera, et cetera. It's always about allowing people to know, and for yourself to know, that you are not out to kind of get them, so to speak, or make a brash judgment. You just want to make sure that there is cohesiveness, cohesion, unifying the values, right? And then only if somebody is unwilling to make change, or you think, hey, there's such a large gap here, I don't think we can close it, then some changes need to be made, either to the inside personnel, the outside service providers and vendors, or the customers, if you can even change your customers. Then you'll make that choice. But giving the individual or group a chance to make sure that you haven't dropped the ball and maybe not educated them as much as you need to. That was this may be a little bit backwards, but that's what happens if you do your assessment and things are out of whack. But the best thing is to be proactive and do this at the interview stage. When we interview team members, it is so important, in my opinion, that we not only find somebody qualified to do the job, as the track record to do the job, as the references to back up that they've done the job, but to really dive into how they will align with your organizational mission and values. And again, from the interview stage, it is so important for you to probably dive into how have you lived this value in previous roles? How much does this mission align with your personal values? Give an example, whatever it is, try to extract from them how aligned, how much they can envision living these values at your organization, et cetera. And making sure that you're taking that into strong consideration as you're trying to craft the culture of your organization. And I would assume forge unification of the values, since this is the theme of today. So your interview process, and don't just have the interview process before the team members. When you're interviewing your vendors, suppliers, and outside service providers, make sure that you are asking the values questions. Make sure you're preaching the mission then and preaching your values then, to make sure that they're not like, hey, you know, I see that you're very focused on adaptability and speed of delivery. We really don't focus on that. We're more about, you know, staying concentrated on what we do real well, and just making sure that we deliver it when it's ready, not just for sheer speed's sake. Obviously, we want to have some flexibility, but we want to make sure that this is not going to create a challenge later. So transformational drive, right? As much as we'd love to just share something one time and have it be the last time we share something, in order to create values unification, I think that, you know, the common thought is it takes 7 times for somebody to hear something before it really starts to sink in. I think it's only when it starts to sink in, it's not really locked into their mind. You know, who knows how much kind of reinforcement that takes. But the transformational drive, if you are passionate about your mission, if you're passionate about your values, obviously you want to find people that are pretty aligned to it, but do not think for one split second you're just going to be able to roll a handbook out, do one presentation to your team and outside vendors and customers about what you believe in and the mission that you're on. And you think, oh, okay, thank you, I am done. I'm glad that's out of the way. I won't have to revisit that. It's got to be something that you're constantly preaching, and you have to have the ability to transform. If that is no longer a lived value, if your mission somehow is modified over time, then you've got to be able to tell everyone, hey, you know, this was what we were striving for. These were the values. Things are changing. You know, things are changing. This is what we're aiming for now. These are our values. Hopefully you don't do that too frequently. But I think every year you have to be honest with yourself. Is this what we're still aiming to do? Are these the values that are still driving this organization, good, bad, or indifferent? And really know that whatever conclusion you make, it is going to take preaching, reinforcement, part of the interview process, part of the ongoing, every meeting, every manager you got to take extra time to drill it into their mind so they can drill it down to your frontline team members. It takes commitment to keep everybody marching to the same beat. And if you don't have the heart for really transforming your organization and driving them on the mission and values, it is going to be really hard, in my experience, to have long-lasting production. So values unification really is so key, not in good times, not if everybody's getting paid what they want, the business is reaching the income targets, it's got customers feeling, you know, super supported. That's great. Usually people can find a way to glaze over the rough edges during those times. But when times are super tough, if you've not worked on values alignment throughout the journey, wow, people tend to bring out the most animosity, the most pent-up frustration, the most everything at your time of greatest need. So if you've not worked the values, if you've not gotten those that are driving your business, both inside and outside aligned, you could have a major problem. Just imagine a supplier that doesn't share your values. Let's say let's say your company isn't generating the money it once was, and you need to basically have that supplier kind of put you on a line of credit, so to speak, to stay alive. If you don't have the same values, you could be absolutely out of luck. Maybe you'll luck into it, but it is so key in times of need that we build strong rapport and align the values, so that when things are not going perfectly, which is frequent in life, we have a strong values system that's aligned to fall back on. Hopefully this helps you as you take your business journey from 0 to a million. I know I never really put a lot of time and thought into the importance of mission and values until our organization started to grow. And I also learned that it is not a static process. It's not a set it and forget it type of model. It is a set it and then reinforce it and preach it and teach lessons on it and watch it, break down a little bit and try to rapidly build it back up. It is not going to be a one-time process, and it's always getting tested. Your values, your missions getting tested, and you as a leader have to be able to step up when it is being tested, whether it's by an inside or outside force, and speak directly to it and hopefully drive unification again. So until next time, be healthy and well, and we will talk again soon on another edition of 0 to a Million. Until then, be well.